It is steamy out there, already up into the 90s. The dew points really have been impressive. It's been actually a pretty lackluster summer thanks to the drought for dew points. We've had plenty of hot weather, but we haven't had that real typical humidity yet. Dew points in the mid 70s. It's making for a heat index of 99, 100 degrees already. So we are going to be in that 100 to 105 degree range through the afternoon. And those dew points are substantial really all across southern Minnesota. We've got a whole slew of mid to even some upper 70s dew points. Tracy, Minnesota had a 77 degree dew point earlier, and now seeing some in western Wisconsin too. And you can see where the cool front is up to the north. Dew points are in the 50s, much more comfortable, drier air. There is a little bit of a temperature difference too. 70s in northwestern Minnesota compared to 90s already in the southwestern part of the state. And again, if we put on the heat index, you can see already 100 to 105 degrees for a lot of places because those dew points are substantial. And those dew points are going to kind of pool along the cool front, and that's going to help play into our severe weather chances. We got the new drought monitor this morning. It's kind of obsolete already because it only includes data through 7 a.m. Tuesday, so it does not include the Tuesday night rainfall or the Wednesday rainfall that a lot of folks saw. So we did see an expansion of the severe drought area. That's the orange area across most of central and east central Minnesota. I don't think we'll see a lot of change to that because while we did get a lot of 1 to 2 inch amounts in the western and southern Twin Cities, it's just putting a dent into our deficits. But we might see the drought, moderate drought in west central Minnesota be clawed back a little bit. So some good news there on the drought monitor. But again, these are the 2 rainfalls that are not included. And you can see especially that Tuesday night rainfall really was quite substantial out there and definitely playing into things. But that heat index basically through the afternoon, the reason we have the excessive heat warnings and advisories, yeah, we could see heat indices top out at a 106 for places like Mankato. And they expanded that excessive heat warning through the Twin Cities all the way down to Mankato, Marshall, Worthington, and then pretty much everybody else in the southern half of the state in that heat advisory. Now we got a risk of severe weather today, an enhanced risk of severe storms across east central Minnesota, Duluth into western Wisconsin, and then a slight risk for a larger area outside of that. This is going to be storms firing along the cool front. We've got a hatched area from the Storm Prediction Center for hail that includes the Twin Cities and Duluth. Could see a pretty strong likelihood. They're talking 30% chance of large hail within that area, and similar for the wind. So this isn't quite a tornado day. We could see maybe a couple spin-ups anytime you get severe weather, but we're mainly looking at storms that are going to be pretty explosive in their development and produce some large hail and some of those severe wind gusts. So we'll take a look at some of the models. First of all here, the NAM model, which has been doing pretty good lately. Very impressive, actually. It goes through periods of time where it's not so great, but last couple of weeks, really, it's nailed these thunderstorm events. So quiet through the day, but as we heat up, we're going to start to see storms fire. This is 3 p.m. central Minnesota, maybe around Mille Lacs Lake. Again, as always with the computer models, don't pay attention to the exact place and exact time, but more the generalities. Somewhere in central Minnesota, storms popping up, and then those will potentially produce some strong winds and then move through in the evening hours. Now the NAM model has the severest weather maybe staying just north and east of the Twin Cities with showers and thunderstorms through the evening, and then the front slides to the south and southeast, but we might be spared, at least from this particular model, of some of the worst. But then we're going to look at the HRRR, one of our rapid updating models that updates every hour, to see where it has development, and it's further south. So the NAM has been nailing the locations a little bit better than the HRRR model, but we'll see. But again, it also does have some of those storms. This is 5 p.m. around Brainerd over towards Duluth, and then again kind of blowing up to the south and east. And it's that area around Duluth, actually, in parts of east central Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin, that the Storm Prediction Center does have that 2% risk for tornadoes. I'll try to put that on here, and we can see the tornado outlook. There's that enhanced risk that we showed you. But again, just to show you that small area of a small chance of some isolated tornadoes. So again, then these storms blowing up and moving through the evening hours. So we're going to get more rainfall. It'll be spotty in nature, as one would expect with severe thunderstorms. But hey, on top of the rain that some of us have seen, this is pretty good. So put on some of the wind gusts. this is something that we're going to really watch. These are some of those strong wind gusts here through the 6, 7 p.m. The more severe wind gusts in this particular model is more into western Wisconsin, but pretty close anywhere in these bright orange areas could see that potential for some high wind gusts. If we look at the NAM model, which again has been doing a little bit better, more widespread. But either way, you see this lines up pretty closely with where the Storm Prediction Center has that risk of severe weather today. If we put back on, there it is. Anywhere east central Minnesota, western Wisconsin, that chance of some strong storms. The atmosphere is going to be plenty juicy, of course, because we've got a lot of heat and humidity out there. So if we just look at some of the CAPE values that we're going to be dealing with, pretty impressive. 5,000 joules, that's kind of off the charts for Minnesota, and it's really a factor of these extreme dew points. And to a lesser extent, the HRRR model also has some 4,000 joule CAPE. And we do have some shear. It's going to be mainly north of the front. So again, that's why it's going to be probably a little harder to organize some tornadic cells. But we've got the conditions ripe for some of the high wind gusts and large hail. And then it's going to be cooler behind the front tomorrow. Still upper 80s, but mid 80s for the weekend is actually still close to normal or slightly above yet. And then we could be close to 90 again by Tuesday, Wednesday. So if you're keeping track at home, today's day 19. We might have 20 or 21 by the middle of next week. And maybe some isolated thunder chances early next week. But tonight is going to be the best chance here over the next several days.